Ambe Steels, J Bancha, Diko Bancha. Pentagon International College, Tinkune, Kathmandu, where excellence prevails. Real, Jamghar Jahan, Real Party Pack Tyahan.
Proud to be associated with Kantipur News.
Good afternoon, I am Aprila Ghising Lama and these are the headlines of the hour. Landslide near Bhotekosi in Sindhupal broke Oraniko Highway. Search for those missing in Raswagari floods continue. Government observed to be spending 9 billion Nepali rupees daily at the end of fiscal year. Experts criticized the 11th hour development to be hampering the polity. Russia's attack on Ukraine kills 2 and injuries 13. 728 drones and 13 ballistic missiles struck cities around the country in multiple waves. Welcome back. A landslide that occurred this morning near Bhotekosi in Sindhupal has blocked the Oraniko Highway. The District Police Office of Sindhupal reported that the Oraniko Highway at Ikukodari Bhotekosi 2 was completely obstructed when a landslide struck at 5 a.m. this morning. The landslide, which originated from above the road and caused the road below to collapse, has led to a complete blockage. As a result, cargo containers en route to Kathmandu via the Tatopani border crossing are stranded in the customs area. Likewise, passenger buses, small and large vehicles and ambulances are also held up. Just yesterday, tourists who were stranded at the Kirung border crossing were sent to Kathmandu via the Kodari border crossing. These tourists had been rerouted through Sindhupal-Chok's Kodari crossing after floods from the Chinese side damaged the infrastructure at the Kirung crossing. However, with damage to the road on both the Kirung and Kodari Tatopani sides, the road connectivity with China has now been severed. Now moving on, the search continues today for those missing in the floods originating from China in the Nepal-China border area of Raswagari. So far, 9 bodies have been recovered and the search for the 19 individuals still missing began early this morning. According to the police, those missing include 2 police officers, 6 Chinese nationals and 11 civilians. 57 people trapped in the flood were rescued on Tuesday. Meanwhile, 8 of the 9 bodies recovered from the devastating floods in Raswa have been brought to Kathmandu. All the bodies are currently at the teaching hospital in Maharajganj. Only one of the bodies has been identified so far. The identified individual was cremated yesterday. The body of Assistant Sub-Inspector Lal Bahadur Shrestha, a police officer missing from Raswa due to the flood, was found on the banks of the Trisuli River at Chitwan. His family has already claimed the body and cremated it yesterday. Of the bodies found, only 5 are in a state where identification is possible. 4 are merely human remains. Police have stated that DNA testing is necessary for these remains. The government has already decided to provide 200,000 Nepali rupees in relief to the families of those who died in the flood and to offer free treatment to the injured. The flood has swept away the Miteri Bridge at the Nepal-China border along with 24 containers, 6 trucks and 35 EV vehicles. Due to the flood erosion, the 14-kilometer road from Isyaprubesi to Raswagari has been obstructed in several places. The government has announced that it will coordinate with China to reconstruct the completely destroyed Miteri Bridge and repair the road to resume border operations. Moving on, at the beginning of the fiscal year, the government struggled to spend even 500 million Nepali rupees. However, by the end, it was observed to be spending 9 billion rupees daily. From the night of July 9th, regular expenditure accounts close. On the last day for regular account spending, the government spent 400 billion rupees by noon. Development work undertaken at the very end of the fiscal year is known to have poor construction quality, and these last-minute payments are affecting the overall economy. In the first month of the current fiscal year, the government's daily development expenditure was 280 million Nepali rupees. By the Nepali month of Ashura, it increased to 840 million rupees per day. The main reason for the increase in spending in Assos was the release of funds for projects completed in the previous year. After that, the government spent approximately 5 to 7 billion Nepali rupees monthly, but in the Nepali month of Ashar, it significantly increased payments. From the beginning of Ashar until the 15th, the government spent around 1 billion Nepali rupees daily. On the 17th, it spent 3 billion Nepali rupees. Following that, it spent 2 billion rupees daily until the 21st, increasing it to 5 billion on the 22nd. On Tuesday, the spending reached a high of 9 billion Nepali rupees for this fiscal year. This increase in development expenditure at the end of the fiscal year is significant compared to revenue and recurrent expenditure. Rule 30 of the Economic Procedure and Financial Responsibility Regulation 2077 states that payments should be stopped at least 7 days before the end of the fiscal year. However, Sub-Rule 2 of the same provision allows for spending at the source of funds changes or additional budget is received. This provision is utilized to continue payments until the very end. Experts state that such last-minute development not only affects the quality of construction, but also has an impact on the overall economy. Although the government has adopted some flexibility in its policies for spending during disasters or emergencies, government employees often use this flexibility to make payments at the last minute. When the government delays payments, construction entrepreneurs also wait until the last moment to start work. The quality of construction work rushed through at the last minute has always been a matter of concern. Now, moving on, the government has backed down from passing the land-related bill through Parliament after coalition partner Nepali Congress raised strong objections. The bill had been placed on Wednesday's House agenda for fast-track approval without prior committee discussions, sparking Congress's dissatisfaction. The main concern raised by the Nepali Congress was the provision on land holding limits, which it claims could be misused by land mafias. Nepali Congress demanded more extensive discussions within the parliamentary committee.
समावेश गर्न मिल्ने कुराहरू मिलेर जान्छ हैन किनभने यता विधेयकमा भएको कुरो संशोधनमा आछ भने यो बुँदा अनुसार मिल्छ भन्न सकिहालिन्छ नि त्यसो भएको हुनाले यो कसरी जान्छ भन्ने हैन त्यो सरकारको सोच सरकारको धारणा र अहिलेको आवश्यकता पूरा गर्नलाई जुन बाटो हिँड्न उपयुक्त हुन्छ त्यही बाटो हिँडिन्छ.
Nepali Congress General Secretaries and lawmakers Gagan Thapa and Bishwa Prakash Sharma submitted amendments to the bill. They cited misuse of land beyond legal limits under the names of companies like Patanjali and Giribandhu Tea Estate. They want a clear legal provision restricting land use strictly to its declared purpose.
यदि त्यो प्रयोजनमा प्रयोग भएन भने त्यो राज्यको हुन्छ. राज्यको भएपछि राज्यले चाहिँ नि त्यसलाई भूमिहीनलाई दिए नि हुन्छ, सुकुम्बासीलाई दिए नि हुन्छ, नियमअनुसार जहाँ दिँदा नि हुन्छ. त्यसकारणले यसको जुन भूमि सुधार ऐनको केही संशोधनको नीति प्रस्तुत गरिएको छ यसको नियत नै नीतिगत रूपबाट चाहिँ नि यी यिनरका पृष्ठपोषण गर्ने त्यसलाई बेचबिखन दिने अधिकारको जुन कुरा छ त्यो सर्वथा बेठिक छ. त्यसलाई संशोधन गरेर राज्यले प्रस्तुत गरोस् भन्ने हाम्रो दृष्टिकोण हो.
The bill seeks to revise 3 key areas: land provision for landless quarters, exceptions to land holding limits for housing developers, and regulation of buffer zones. But opposition parties argue that the provision allowing land to be used for unintended purposes benefits land mafias and should be thoroughly debated clause by clause in committee. Previously, the government had introduced a similar amendment through an ordinance in December. That ordinance became defunct after objections from coalition parties like JSP Nepal and the CPN Maoist Center, who accused the government of acting with ill intent.
डाइरेक्ट तपाईको पास गराउनु भनेको त यसमा षड्यन्त्र झल्किन्छ. त्यसकारण यो षड्यन्त्र नहोस् र हामीले चाहिँ छलफल हुनुपर्छ भनेर हामीले भनेका थियौं र त्यो बेला पनि के भनेको थियौं नि हामीसँग छलफल गरौँ अनि मात्रै यो विधेयक लगाउँ भनेका थियौं. तर उहाँहरुको अब हुन सक्छ संख्यात्मक वा ठुलो छु भन्ने घमण्डले फेरि उहाँले त्यही नै ल्याउनु भयो. त्यही ल्याइसकेपछि जबसम्म हामी संशोधनको प्रक्रियामा जाँदैन यो हैन अथवा समितिमा छलफल गराउनको लागि लादैन भने तबसम्म त हामीले यसलाई तपाईको पास गराउने हाम्रो चाहिँ
Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli had been pushing for swift passage of the bill, ignoring objections from opposition parties. However, following serious resistance from the ruling Nepali Congress itself, The government was forced to withdraw the bill from the House agenda. It is time for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
Here's today's question. What is your take on the government's decision to step back from the land bill following opposition from the Nepali Congress? Your options are A, moral concerns regarding governance, B, result of trying to take a shortcut, C, discussion might lead to a conclusion, or D, no comment. Visit www.kantipurtv.com or www.ekantipur.com to share your opinion with us. Welcome back. The Madhya Province government has spent 71% of its budget in the current fiscal year. According to data provided by the Madhya Province Ministry of Finance, as of 12 a.m. on July 9th, the final payment deadline for the current fiscal year 2081-82 BS, the province has expended 64.64% of its recurrent budget and 75.14% of its capital budget, totaling 71.48% of the overall budget. This marks the highest expenditure ever recorded for the province. Of the total budget of 43.89 billion Nepali rupees for the current fiscal year in Madhya, 24.71 billion Nepali rupees had already spent by Wednesday morning. This figure further increased to 31.37 billion Nepali rupees by 12 a.m. on Wednesday night. The Ministry of Finance recorded the highest expenditure at 83.63%, while the Office of the Chief Minister and Council of Ministers had the lowest at 34.06%. The province has successfully spent nearly 71.5% of its budget this fiscal year, the highest since its establishment. In previous fiscal years, the Madhya government's budget expenditure was significantly lower. 51.75% in 2075-76 BS, 40.46% in 2076-77 BS, 65.46% in 2077-78, 57.32% in 2078-79, and 55.64% in 2079 and 80 BS. Now, Sudar Pashchim Province Chief Minister Kamal Bahadur Shah has expressed confidence that the Nagarik Unmukti Party will rejoin the provincial government. His statement comes at a time when the party reportedly displeased after the Chief Minister removed their ministers from the provincial government has indicated it will not participate in either the provincial or federal governments. Speaking in Kantipur, Chief Minister Shah stated that he has requested the party to propose names of their members of parliament for the same ministries they held previously. Reminding that other parties were included in the Nepali Congress and CPN-UML coalition government, he clarified that the government would not collapse even if the Nagarik Unmukti Party withdrew. Meanwhile, a delegation including the Chief Minister, ministers and members of parliament of the Sudar Pashchim provincial government is currently visiting various religious and tourist sites in Punarbas and Belouri, Kanchanpur. The delegation has toured Divadham Koteshwar Mahadev Temple, Pyaratal and the Rana Tharu Museum in Punarbas, as well as Bandatal and Kalika Temple in Belouri. Now, the Joint Trade Union Federation and organization representing laborers held a rally in Biratnagar demanding an increase in the minimum wage. The rally, which started from Sansarimai in Biratnagar, paraded through various parts of the city. Participants in the rally chanted slogans emphasizing the need to implement labor laws in practice, enroll workers in social security and determine wages through tripartite agreement. After the rally, a corner meeting was held at Mahendra Chowk, where participants submitted a memorandum to the Social Development Minister of Koshi Province, Panchakarna Rai. Handing over the memorandum, President of the Nepal Trade Union Congress, Kosi Province, Narayan Babu Khaki, and President of GEFONT, Binod Shrestha, among others, stressed that the government has insulted workers and emphasized the need to provide a minimum wage. On the occasion, Minister Rai stated that the government would work to fulfill the demands of the laborers. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.